It's the Two Gems Podcast.
Is everything on?
Welcome back.
Are all these on?
Look at you looking all professional over there.
Yeah, welcome back.
God.
This is episode 7 of the Two Gems Podcast.
You channeling your inner receptionist over there?
Actually, let's start this again because it might not be episode 7, right?
It is.
No, but we might not make this the next one.
Ooh.
So,
Okay, we're recording 2 episodes today because we're going to Ottawa in a week from today. Almost like to the minute.
hold on, I'm not in the zone yet. Just give me a sec. I'm too into my phone.
What?
Just give me 1 sec. And I can't stop thinking about that picture. Oh my God.
What?
Okay. Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
Welcome to the Two Gems Podcast. I'm Sheridan.
Oh, you're playing footsies already.
Yeah.
And I'm Matthew.
How are you?
I'm freaking good. It's good to be back in front of a mic. It's been a little bit.
It has been.
Has it?
Well,
or am I crazy?
No, so when we went to nope, not Moncton.
We should tell everyone that story.
Should we?
Yeah, because we love the inside stories and people complain about it in the comments.
No, but this was an outrageous story, really.
Yeah, you can tell it. And I'll
Well,
kind of jump in. Or do you want me to tell it?
It's just the simple fact that in my brain, I was so convinced that we were going to Moncton, New Brunswick.
For the Memorial Cup.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I even had conversations with the agency. We were chatting about briefs. It was written on the brief 100 times, St. John, St. John. Now, I'm going to use the excuse that I'm from Ottawa. I'm still going to say that.
Oh, my God.
8 years later. So my brain, we went to Moncton last year, had an amazing time. So when they said New Brunswick, I was like, well, yeah, it's obviously Moncton. Like, where else would you go in New Brunswick? So I was convinced that's where we were going. So we picked the kids up. We were on our merry little way. I'm like, guys, don't even worry about this. This is like a quick little jaunt.
Driving in like a monsoon and everything too. Like to factor that in, that the drive was brutal. Remember the torrential downpours and we couldn't see or anything?
I know. Anyway, so then we get to Moncton. It's beautiful. Like timing's perfect. I'm like, this is great. Can't wait. We're just going to open up the car, go get checked in, then go have a nice dinner. And I'm like, Matt, because the whole time, like my phone was not really working well anyway because we didn't have good data. So I said to Matt, I'm like, what? Can you please find the freaking address for this place? And Matt's like, well, as we get to Moncton.
No, you're in the driver's seat and you're going, look up One Marketplace Drive. And I'm like, I am looking it up and I don't see anything here that says One Marketplace Drive. I'm like looking on the map and Google Maps is showing me that it's an hour and 45 minutes from where we were.
So you're like, well, there is one, but it's an hour and 45 minutes. Is that it? And my brain, I blacked out, I'm sure, because I was like, I don't understand. Anyway, granted, the kids actually did surprisingly really well. If anybody was having the hardest time, it was probably me because I was just so pissed. But we made it to St. John. We had fun. The Memorial Cup, Kai and I attended. It was a great time. The other 2 kids did not make it because they are wild.
A little too crazy.
And it worked out really well. So now we're back and we're only here for a couple days and then we're going to Ottawa and we're going to drive to Ottawa.
Oh my God.
Dun. Well,
Should we talk about St. John for a sec? I fell in love with that place.
Oh, did you?
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Did it dethrone Charlottetown as my new favorite place? I don't know. I really, really liked it. Like when we went to Dominion Beach, I was like, this is a vibe here. This is cool.
Yeah, and then when we went to Irving Nature Park, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And like so close to town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was.
And all the bars with the little white lights out. And I was saying to Tim yesterday, I was saying we probably saw the best of St. John because we saw it when the Memorial Cup was there. They were hosting. Yeah. They were in the Memorial Cup. They ended up winning the Memorial Cup.
It was exciting.
It was pandemonium in that city.
It was exciting.
But it was really cool. And it was to find out that there was so much history there. Like the fact, like when that guy was telling us that story about when the Irish settled there, and then they ended up like getting pushed out to an island because they all got sick from a potato virus or something.
Yeah.
So they literally
that up, did you?
No, but they segregated apparently all the Irish people there that were sick on an island and let them die there. Is what this guy was telling me. Like I got to fact check this, but this is what this guy was saying. Like crazy stuff. And then when you're in St. John, it's like this really interesting contrast between the natural environment there and then the oil industry. Mm-hmm. So there's these giant smokestacks in the middle of the city and you can pretty much see them from just about anywhere. And it's a pulp mill. And then you see all the big Irving buildings everywhere and these oil tankers and stuff. And then if you just turn like a couple degrees to the right or left, it's beautiful nature and mountains and lakes and everything. It's anyway, St. John was awesome.
And it's funny because I honestly feel like I never would have gone there otherwise. Like I never would have been like, let's go to St. John, New Brunswick, because it is kind of far. It's like a 4-hour drive.
Yeah,
but I'm
a little
glad,
over, like 4:15 or something like that.
Yeah, but I'm glad we did end up there because I think it was really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, is St. John going to pay us a couple shekels shouting out down here or what?
Shuts out. Yeah. So, speaking of shekels, this podcast episode, we are going to talk work.
Yeah.
Woo, fun.
I'm into it. Let's do it.
Okay.
We're going to talk work today.
Yeah. So, today we're going to talk about work. I think we should kind of dive into how Matt got to where he is and sort of your story. And then also, I mean, we've talked about how I've got to where I'm at, but maybe just a little bit more in depth of what it is that I do, the behind the scenes. We could even talk finances. Like, I'm certainly not going to give people like, you know, my dollar to dollar of what I make, but, you know, just on the spectrum of what you can make and just influencers in general. Yeah. And then we can talk about your career as like a designer and kind of what came to fruition and how that all came to be.
Yeah, I'm into it. I like it.
Yeah.
We were sitting here and we've been brainstorming what to talk about. And because it's funny because we kind of came into this with some ideas about what we would do. And it like, I'm looking at the data on the YouTube, on the YouTube channels and on the podcast apps and stuff. And the analytics show that when we talk about sex, everyone's into it and everyone's laughing and having a good time. The comments are up, the likes are up, the shares, everything. Yeah. So should we just talk about sex again?
No, that will be our next one. This one's straight work. But I think that there's also a lot of people that want to hear about work.
Yeah,
why not?
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what do you do, sir?
I thought I was going to ask you first. So we're going to
Okay, ask me.
Well, should we just like jump right into it, or like a little like preface as to what the hell is going on? Like I think the reason that we wanted to talk about work is that we've been really fortunate in our lives to create a good living for ourselves doing what we love to do. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes it's really inspirational to people. Like I know I hear it from my contemporaries that it's really cool that I've been able to pull off this life that we have. And I don't just mean like a, is that your dad again?
No, that was my mom.
Every time we're in
I know.
Do you talk to them like 100 times a day?
Sometimes, whatever.
But like the nice house and stuff aside, I think that it's really cool that we've been able to be around our friends and our family all day, every day, and really sit down at our desk and do what we love to do every day.
Yes.
And then the money just kind of came with that.
Right.
Like it's kind of cool that we've made a good living for ourselves, but it's the fact that we've been able to do what we love to do with our like 8, 10, 12 hours a day of our time. That's
true.
awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And sometimes I don't take it for granted, but there's times where I forget because we're so in it now and it's kind of been our lifestyle for a while. But then I have these moments of reflection where I'm like, wow, like how cool that after this, you know, we're going to go and sit and hang out at the beach and I'm going to work and take some content stuff there and you can brainstorm and like that we are able to do that.
Yeah.
And we're really lucky. I mean, not everybody wants to do that, but we are able to do what we love to do and also make an income off of it, which is great.
And I think that there's so many ways that you could tackle talking about something like this. And I don't want to, the whole world can't do what we do. I mean, people have to do all the jobs out there. Mm-hmm. But to me, I think in essence, if we're going to talk about this for the next hour, I think it's really a cool angle to approach this is sort of like a follow your dreams mentality. Which I think is really neat. Like maybe my dreams were probably a little bit more like cut and dry than yours were. Like I knew what I wanted to do at a relatively early age for the most part. And it kind of morphed and stuff. But I mean, what I'm doing today is exactly what made sense for me when I was 14, 15, probably right back till I was like 8.
And mine absolutely not, because Instagram didn't even exist.
But in essence, though, what you're doing makes a lot of sense for you.
For me, for sure.
Yes, it does make a lot of sense for you.
Yes, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense what I do for a living. But what I'm saying is it's not like I grew up being like, I can't wait to be an Instagram person. Like it wasn't even a thing.
But you're not an Instagram person.
Well, you say it.
No, you're not. You're a creator, and Instagram is the vessel that you use to put your creative content out to the world.
Right.
If it wasn't Instagram, you'd move over to something else. You're not an Instagram
Although
person.
I will not go on TikTok.
You are a creator.
So scary.
You love doing interior design. You love taking beautiful photos. You love coaching people into how to take nice photos. You love setting stuff up. You love prop design. You love like getting people's makeup done and taking pictures of them. Like you love capturing people's moments in time and making them look great.
Well, sometimes I think what will happen if Instagram just like, or do you remember that time when my account was disabled for like 24 hours or whatever it was?
Oh my God, my whole life flashed from my eyes. I was like, oh my God.
Well, it really did.
Yeah.
Because that was my whole career. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get it back. And I remember thinking like, what do I do now? Just thinking about it, like if this does not come back, what will I do? And I always say like I'd love to go back into the classroom, but I don't know if I just say that because I like the idea of it, when actually I probably would stay in a social space to some capacity, whether that be, you know, taking over other people's accounts or doing, like you said, product shots or, you know, house stuff, like things that I am interested in. Not that I'm not interested in teaching, because I am. But you know, at this point in time, this is what brings me joy and makes me happy. So
why don't we start somewhere closer to the beginning?
Ooh, the beginning.
This is unscripted, as it always is. I have no idea where we're going with this, but like, what the hell happened? So you and I met as you were coming out of teachers college,
and I had big plans.
You got pregnant.
Well, so what happened was, I was living in Ottawa, Matt was in Halifax, and we decided, hey, let's just figure it out. Let's move in together and see where it goes from there. And Matt grew up in Ottawa, so the idea was kind of in the back of my mind, like, well, maybe he'll move to Ottawa. And you were sort of maybe thinking about it too, but then we decided not a great idea, because you had you were working for a company, you were established in your career, and I was not. I was just coming out of school, and for anyone out there that is a teacher, you know how hard it can be to get into the whole teaching permanent position sort of thing. You have to do a certain amount of hours for subbing, and then you can apply and like hope that you can get into it. So anyway, I just said, I'll just come down to you, because I had already gone to Acadia. I loved the Maritimes. And to be honest, I just wanted to get the fuck out of that town.
Yeah.
After everything that had gone, I was like, get me out of here. I want to start fresh. So I moved down and I applied for teaching.
You just want to come down and be with your handsome man, didn't you?
But I applied for teaching. But it was like a long process. So in the meantime, I started working at St. Mary's in the psychology department, waiting to get approved to get into teaching, to which I did.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
I know.
You were literally waiting to get in.
Yeah. So then I did get in, but at that point, I was pregnant with Kaya. So I just said, forget it. I'll just stay at St. Mary's. I know.
You were so cute in there.
I know. I said, I'll just stay at St. Mary's and like rack up the maternity hours, because again, now I don't know. I've been out of like the teaching area, like environment for so long, but at that time, you couldn't even get a substitute position. Like it was insane. Like you were trying to wake up at 4 a.m. to click something in, and I just didn't know if I'd make enough money like to get onto the maternity thing. So I said, I'll just stay at St. Mary's and, you know, work the hours. So I'm good to go. And then,
so at that point in life,
Yeah.
you and I were living in a tiny little condo that we were renting from a buddy of mine, and we didn't even have a car. Like
Yeah.
I had my sport bike, and you would sit up on the back of it. So like every day, rain or shine, I would drive you down to St. Mary's. And for anyone that knows what a sport bike looks like, there's like that little seat on the back. It's about as big as an iPhone Max.
That
and
would
like
be
your
me.
ass would
Yeah.
be propped up on there, like holding
Yeah.
grocery bags and everything. Because like we didn't have a whole lot then.
in fact, I did not hold grocery bags often. There was just one specific time when we went to the dollar store to pick up one of those things for the turkey we were hosting Thanksgiving. And you were so embarrassed. I was riding home with the $1 bag swooping on the back. And that's okay.
No, you had the
we
big,
need
like,
to get a
turkey
car.
pan and everything.
Well, it's time to get a car. But that was fun little life. What a different life we lived.
Well, we got groceries every few days. Like it just
Yeah.
wasn't. It's not like you were holding like 18 bags.
Well,
You'd
you
have, like,
also had a
couple.
backpack too.
Yeah.
We would just shove it in our backpacks.
Did I
and
own a
stuff.
backpack then?
I think so. So,
But I'm just trying to paint a picture that like life was. We didn't have a whole lot.
No.
We had a motorbike and we had a little tiny condo,
Absolutely.
and we were just grinding it out, trying to figure out what we wanted to do
I
in
think I made
life.
at that point, like, what was minimum wage at that point? Like $13 an hour.
Were you making minimum wage?
or maybe a little bit more. It might have been a little bit more, maybe like $17 an hour. But I mean, we were absolutely living paycheck to paycheck.
I didn't know that.
And we just took a leap when it came to Kaya, which is not the point of this podcast, but we just said we'll figure it out.
Well, I mean, it's probably a good segue though. So you got pregnant with Kaya, and then that was kind of the catalyst to like keeping you at home for a bit.
Yeah. So
raising our daughter.
Right. So I had that whole, I guess I stayed 12, was it 12? Well, I guess I never went back to work, but the idea was 12 months for maternity leave. And I think like at that point when we were getting money for maternity leave for the month, I think it was only like $600 a month or something like that I was making and bringing in.
Yeah.
And then you were doing your job. And Instagram was kind of on the rise. It was still like a photo album-ish. There was no stories. There was nothing like that. But I remember seeing other moms doing it and starting to flourish and seeing them having a whole lot of followers and starting to see the evolution of mostly them getting product and them advertising the product. Whether they got paid for it, I don't know. But I mean, a lot of like strollers and diaper bags and things like that they were, posting about and tagging. Dockatots, that sort of stuff. And again, we didn't have a lot of money. So I started thinking, okay, well, maybe I can start to get some product for free and I can advertise for that. And that was kind of the segue to it all, really, as I started just thinking like, what can I get that I can show off that will make it so that we don't have to pay for baby things, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But in the same breath, you were doing what you love to do.
Oh, I was having a great time.
Oh my God. I remember when Kaya was born, you would like plop her in little baskets and stuff and get cute photos of her. Like you really, really were into photography. And then this platform came along that gave you the tools that you need to put your work out to the world. Totally. Yeah.
And like I said, I started with the blog. I just remember saying to you, like, Matt, I want to write down Kaya's birth story because for me, I think it's really, well, I love hearing birth stories. And also I thought ours was kind of crazy with Kaya and how she came 2 weeks early and how it all happened and the unmedicated that I wasn't prepared for and stuff like that. And I wanted people to be able to read that and to relate to it or what have you. And then I started writing a couple other little blog posts and I really liked my little blog. I had fun with my little blog. And then I stopped because I just ended up writing huge captions on my Instagram. And people were still into blogs then, even back then, of course, blogs were big, but I wasn't seeing the
return on investment.
Yeah, not that there even was an investment, but I was just thinking, I can just write it down.
Well, the investment of your time. I mean, you only have so many hours in a day. You might as well do what's putting the bread on the table, right?
So I remember
starting to garner some traction on Instagram.
I remember a few of my very first collaborations. One of them was a company that reached out to me to send me like things that I could print off for a birthday party. I'll never forget. It was like when you can like go to this, like you get like PDFs or whatever, and then you bring them over to Staples and you can print them out. And it's like, my baby's one, like whatever, themed and stuff. So obviously on their end, that cost them $0 to send me that PDF, right?
Yeah.
But I did it and I printed it off and I used it for Kaya's first birthday, I think. So there was that one. And I even think I did a giveaway for them at that point. And then there was another one, where I had like 5 entries on the giveaway, by the way. And then there was another one where I had a mitt. Somebody reached out to me for a teething mitt. And it was just like a mitt that the baby wears and puts in their mouth and chews on it. And how excited I was that somebody reached out to me to send me a baby product. Like I was over the moon. Yeah. When you get your first message and you're like, oh my gosh.
It validates everything you've done.
Right.
Even if it's super small, it's like this person believes in what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then furthering in, I remember what started happening was you kind of learned who was kind of starting to grow and trying to grow at the same time as you. And we'd all kind of like communicate and chat and see like what companies were willing to give things out or give products out. And I remember, I'll never forget, Valco Baby, which is what we had our double stroller. You loved that double stroller.
Yeah. Is that the one I really loved? Valco?
Yeah. It started with a baby stroller, the blue one that Kaya could push around, like
I remember. Yeah.
So they reached out to me. They're a Canadian company, and they asked if I would take some shots with Kaya and with the stroller and stuff. And then I wrote back afterwards and said, "Hey, we have another baby coming. Like, it would be so amazing if we could do a double stroller, so on and so forth. Like, I don't know how this works." And we went to dinner with your dad and Wendy and my mom and dad, maybe?
At a mono or something, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember I looked at my phone and I saw the email pop up and I almost shit my pants because they wrote back and they were like, we love what you've done. We're going to send you the double stroller. And a double stroller is expensive.
Yeah, it's like $1,200.
I was going to say, it's like $1,200. Yeah. And I was so excited. I was so excited and proud because they liked what I had done. And they were like, this is great. Like, let's send you something else. So that was kind of how it all started, I guess.
Yeah.
And then my first biggest contract, the one that was just makes so much sense for me, was McDonald's. We know I love my McDonald's. I don't know how they found me. I honestly have no idea. I did not have 10,000 followers. I must have had like 8,000 or something like that. We were living here. Kaya was the only one, I want to say. And they reached out to me because this is when McDonald's started using books instead of toys, when you could change whether you want a book or a toy. And I'll never forget it. And they reached out and I think they paid me $700 to do a post and some stories. And that to me was mind blowing.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it.
That would have been one of the first times where you're like, holy shit. Like I get like,
yes.
If this is what they're blindly valuing me at,
right,
then how much have I been underselling what I've been doing to other people? And
well, actually, I didn't think of that at all. That didn't even cross my mind.
I was saying.
Yeah, no,
give me the money.
Yeah, that wasn't even on my mind at all. I was just honestly like honored that a huge company like that found me on social media and wanted to work with me. So I was freaking thrilled, and I took the photo. And actually, Katie Kelly, who does like the CBC thing, right? She took that photo and she posted it on. You know how she does like I don't know exactly what she does, but she does a thing at night where it's like 10 things or whatever. So one of them was the picture of Kaya with the Happy Meal, and it said my little Instagram handle underneath at, I think my name was still Sheridan at that time.
Yeah.
And a couple people messaged me and they're like, Kaya's on TV. This is so cool. And I was like, this is crazy.
And was like, what the hell?
What?
Yeah.
And now it's like, I look back at that and like, I absolutely still think it's so cool. But like, anyway, I was just floored that McDonald's paid me that money, and I thought that was so cool.
And it was really helping at the house too, because like I'll jump in for a sec. So that would have been right around, if we were in the house then that would have been right around where I probably took a leap out to get out on my own.
Yes.
So it was awesome when you were bringing that little bit of money, and it was really, really helping out because, you know. Okay,
so let's play timelines here. So that was my timeline leading up till a certain point, and then you talk about your timeline, and then we'll kind of come back together.
No, that'll get me all confused. That'll throw me all off.
Well, no, but you just said that you went out on a leap of your own. So before that, you were working at...
Oh man, if we're gonna get into the story of what happened to me, though, I mean, it was sort of like it was a lifelong journey for me. So for those of you that don't know, I'm a graphic designer, but if you listen to the first couple episodes, I was on a big rant about how I'm more of a creator. And to me, I think it's one of the most fulfilling things that you can possibly do in this world, because you're creating something that wasn't there before. And that's such a neat thing, I think. Like, you'll get those people that have that kind of like copycat syndrome, and I think we all kind of go through it every now and then, where you're kind of mimicking a photo that you really like, or mimicking a brand that you really admire, or something like that. But when you truly go out and build something and create something, you're putting something into the universe that didn't exist before. And I remember being oh my God, Sharon, like probably like 4 or 5 years old, and my mom and Andrew would buy me countless sketchbooks, like stacks and stacks of sketchbooks. Like I remember we'd go down to Kmart, the one I've showed you before. It was like right around the corner from the townhouses we were living in. And we'd go down there, and Mom would fill up half a shopping cart with sketchbooks. Just little Hilroy scribblers. Yeah. Like not like fancy papering. Just go down and get me some pens and colored pencils and stuff and sketchbooks. And I would get home and start filling them. It was like I was obsessed with filling sketchbooks. I couldn't be fulfilled until the book was done. Yeah. And I would draw everything. I would sit here right now and draw this can, and I would draw the phones, and I would like try and get the angles right and everything, and I just loved drawing. And I think it's really cool that my parents saw that in me. They saw something in me that I love to do, that you could make a career out of. And no one really knew how I was going to do it. It was just, he's really good at this, and he really likes what he's doing. Yeah. And So, fast forward through life, all through high school and everything, I was just really into spray painting. I was into street art. It's all I ever did. If I wasn't playing hockey or playing basketball or something like that, it was like I was drawing and painting and spray painting, and that was my whole life. And sometime coming out of high school, it would have been when I was 18, I applied for NASCAD University in downtown Halifax, and I didn't get in. And that was like heart-wrenching for me because I didn't even know what the hell I was going to do there. I just knew that if you were going to pursue arts, you went to NASCAD. And they said no. I wasn't allowed in their school. My grades weren't good enough, and that was it for me. Yeah. It would have been a little bit of grades, and then I also think it was I was a little late in the submission. So I still made the deadline, but I think I was so late getting in that they had already kind of selected their 60 new students or whatever it was. And so my grandmother and everyone was kind of steering me to go to the oil rigs, and I had a lot of friends that were going out there at the time. And so I took a rigging class in Halifax. Actually, it was over in Dartmouth.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I didn't even know you had to do that.
Yeah, I took a 1 week or 2 week rigging class. I think it was 2 weeks, and you went over there and we paid a shit ton of money to sit there and bang hammers and turn wrenches and learn how to do pipe fitting and anyway, how to lift the friggin'. We were learning how to be roughnecks. So I passed that course and did really well with it. And then I got on an airplane with 30 or 60 guys and flew out to Alberta, and we were out in Red Deer, Alberta, and I got my first job as a roughneck on Rockwell Rig 81, I think it was, and it was a hard-ass job. I have so much respect for people in the oil field. Now, that may seem like kind of a complete pivot from where I am today, but I do think that the thing about your life is where you are in your present day is an amalgamation of everything before it. Mm-hmm. My first job was at McDonald's, and then I went and worked at the movie theater, and then I went and worked at, I was a painter. I did all this stuff. And I think that a really important job for me was going out there to be a roughneck, because I feel like it taught me a lot about work ethic and how hard some people grind to make a buck. Mm-hmm. It was the hardest job ever. We were working 17 or 18-hour days. We never stopped. Blistering cold, 100-kilometer-hour winds with snow coming sideways. You'd be up there wrenching pipe and your helmet would blow off.
It's very dangerous too.
Oh my God, it was brutal. It was brutal. That job was so hardcore. But I made a ton of money out there. It was crazy. Everything beyond your 8 hours is overtime. You're getting paid living expenses. You're getting paid to move around. You're getting paid to eat. Your hotels are paid for. So I was 18 years old, balling out. We had so much money.
Right.
And so anyway, that really taught me a lot about work ethic. And I think through a series of crazy circumstances, I ended up leaving the oil rigs relatively quick. I think I was there 4 or 5 months, and then came back to Nova Scotia. And I applied. I want to say I may have even applied to NASCAD again, and I applied for NSCC and didn't get in again.
Really?
And this was earth-shattering for me, because I felt like this is my path in life. I'm home now. This is meant to be. I learned how to work hard. I want to follow my heart now and really do what I was meant to do. And when the school shut me down and didn't let me in, it sucked, because that I could see it. That was that shining light, and I was like, this is my calling, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to get in this year, and I'm going to go through 2 or 3 years of school and come out and do something in the art field. And when they didn't let me in, it was oh my God, I just remember crying and laying there at night by myself, just wondering where is my life going? What am I going to do with my life? Because everyone else had kind of established something. They had jumped into SMU or jumped into DAL or something, and here I was sucking and getting my dreams shut down, and the schools wouldn't let me in. I was like, oh my God, am I going to have to go back and redo high school and try and get my grades up or what it was? And so I remember I started doing carpentry with my father and got really into building things, which is kind of off topic, but it's something that I've carried with me to this point in time. I love working and painting and building things, doing carpentry and stuff. And I remember I did that for a couple years with Dad, and I applied to NSCC again. I remember I didn't even have a drive to drop my submission off. I put together this really cool portfolio of work with a plexiglass cover and made this awesome thing. And I didn't even have a drive. I remember it was this rainy ass day and no one was around, and mom was a nurse, so she was always working. And I just remember just kind of just being like a little lost soul going to, and I had to get all the way to Leeds Street in Halifax and submit my portfolio. And I remember getting on a bus and then getting on another bus, and then like where Leeds Street is, there was nothing really up there, so I had to climb this massive hill and everything in the rain, like with my portfolio and stuff. And I remember I went and handed it in and said thanks to the woman at the front desk, and then 3 or 4 weeks later, I got a phone call.
They called you?
Yeah, they called me up to say you weren't in because the class was full, and then someone dropped out, so if you want to come into art school, there's an opening for you. And my dad was sitting right next to me when I got that phone call. I remember I was sitting at the Superstore in Dartmouth in the parking lot there, and Dad was right next to me. I just remember losing my mind. I was like, oh my God, this is it. And there was like almost like a moment for Dad where it was like a bittersweet moment, because he was like, I love working with my son and he's so devoted to this company with me. And then at the same time, but he was like, I'm so proud of you. You did it finally. Like I had tried to get into school like 3 or 4 years in a row, and then finally they let me in. So like all that to say, this wasn't a cakewalk. I kept having my dreams crushed and kept trying to bang on the door and bang on the door and bang on the door. And then finally the doors opened and I went in and murdered it. Yeah. Like when I did my 2 years at community college, I crushed it. Like I was obsessed. I sat in I went from sucking in high school and barely getting out of there to being front row, hand up, every question, every test, every assignment was handed in early. Like I murdered it. I was obsessed with graphic design school. And so I did my 2 years there. I got out, did super well. My grades were awesome. I did a work term and so basically they kind of like picked out who everyone had to do a work term, and anyone that was kind of like, they'd try and basically align you with an agency that would be a good fit for you. Yeah. And I remember, rest in peace to Chester Golick, but he was the owner of this company called Chester and Company, and everyone knew that Chester was a hard ass. He was a big dude with a big beard on him and everything, and real rough around the edges. Like he'd tell you straight to your face, fuck you if you didn't do a good job. Like he was a pretty rough around the edges guy. Yeah. And they knew that I could handle him. Right. And that's why they sent me to Chester, because they were like, you guys are going to vibe with each other. And I got in there and I loved him so much. He was like a dad to me. Like I worked at Chester and Company for 6 or 7 years and kind of worked my way up the chain there. Like I went in there as a junior designer and had absolutely nothing. And I'll never forget my very first day going in there. So I had to bring a portfolio in and have them say, yes, you can come work here. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, I had to show them a portfolio to even do the work term there, and they had to be like, yeah, you'd be a good fit. Come on in. Okay. So I remember my very first day, I was standing at the bus stop, and my ex and I lived in this tiny little red brick apartment in downtown Dartmouth, this little hole in the wall spot. And I remember walking out that morning. I walked out of that apartment. I had this little black pea coat on and my little like oversized pants that I thought I looked good in, and my boots and everything. And I was standing there at the bus stop and probably listening like Tupac or something in my headphones. And then all of a sudden, right as I was going to go get on the bus to get over to the other side of the water, this bird shit all down my shoulder, like massive seagull shit all down the front of my nice black pea coat. And I just remember getting on the bus that day and just being like, I'm jinxed. What are the odds that my very first day when I'm trying to look as good as I possibly could, I'm going to get shit on by a bird? But isn't it good luck? So then come to find out that a bird shitting on you is good luck. Yeah. And I feel like I put that energy out there and just worked hard, and I took everything I learned when I was painting houses, and everything I learned being a line cook at McDonald's, and everything I learned being a roughneck on an oil rig, and just everything that I ever did, I took all of those skills and all that work ethic and brought it into a job where I could sit at a laptop all day and create things on a computer. Yeah. And yeah, so that was very long.
No, I am loving this.
But bringing me up
I'm thinking back to my little Instagram thing. I'm like, cool. Nice. Matt's over here telling like the biggest inspirational story. Oh, Matt.
It came out.
Yeah.
hold on,
And I'm over here like sweet double stroller.
No, but I feel like I could almost.
Good job having some reinforcement
Oh
this
man,
time, huh?
I gotta remember to bring paper towel in here. I feel like I could probably tell your story better than you could. I think. Okay, so I'm almost.
No, keep going. I love it. And you know what? I think it's great for our listeners to hear this too, because I've heard this story so many times, and I do like. I'm obviously biased because I'm your wife, but I find you very inspirational. And I think given the past and how, even back to your childhood, we could go into that and, how it was very shitty at times and how you in high school were also kind of shitty at times and how you decided to just take all of that and, put it into something positive and work with it. And I just think it's very inspirational. So just keep going because I think our followers probably are loving this.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah,
You're
sorry.
so cute.
Did I get you off topic?
No, I think I'm still in there.
You were talking about bird shitting.
See, that's why I feel like we should have stayed on you because I could talk for 2 hours straight. So,
but that's okay. Then we can come back to me.
We'll double back to you.
The thing is, our work is very different in a way. Like we both work from home now and we both make, our own companies and whatnot. But the story of how we got to where we are vastly different. We can't even compare. Like, it's not like we can have it's not like I'm sitting here with another Instagram person, you're sitting with another designer and you guys are like feeding off each other.
What we do is kind of similar too. Which
totally.
We're a little dream team.
But
together.
your story is very different than mine. Yeah. So, okay. So the bird shit on you.
Yeah. So then I went into work, did really well. And it was never that I was the best designer, and I think that this is really important, regardless if you're a designer or a photographer or you work at Subway. Whatever it is in life, I feel like skill. Man, this is a quote. You can look it up on Google. I forget what it is, but like skills can be taught to somebody. I mean, you're going to get your people that are these prodigies that have a natural talent, like Sidney Crosby. Like, yes, he worked hard to get where he was, but he was just a friggin' prodigy.
He's very good at yeah.
But oftentimes, like learning how to do something is something that anyone can eventually kind of figure out. You can get a good mentor and learn stuff, but what you can't teach someone is how to have a good attitude and a good work ethic.
Ain't that the truth?
Just being a positive person.
Yeah.
And just coming in, like I remember every day, at least for the first couple of years, I was the first one opening that damn office. There was 20, 30 employees there. I opened the door almost every day, almost every single day. Went in, I didn't even drink coffee at that point in time, made a pot of coffee. So when everyone else started coming in, there was hot coffee, Matt's at his desk. It's just who I was. I don't know. I like getting everyone in a good mood in the morning, getting everyone pumped up to go. And so at that point in time, there was...
But wait, you didn't finish what you were saying. So you said that everybody can learn something. Oh, no, wait, you did finish it. But then you...
You're listening?
Well, I'm a great interviewer.
I think what I was going to say is that I don't feel like I was ever the best designer. Even now, I mean, I don't think I'm the best designer in the world. I don't think I'm the best in the city. I'm proud of who I am, and I think I do great work, but I see great work everywhere that I go. I see beautiful people doing beautiful work everywhere that I look. I get jealous.
What makes you special?
I think what I can say is that I think throughout my whole life, I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone that works harder than me and is more devoted. And I will say that straight up. Good luck finding someone that's more passionate and harder working than me. I can say that.
Okay.
I will stand by that.
Okay.
I feel like no matter what it is, no matter what it is in life, I feel like I give it my all, and I know that, okay, sure, maybe I'm not the best at something, but I know that when I put my head on my pillow at night, I know that I put a good damn good day in. Every day I feel like I do that.
That's great.
And so at that point in time, I mean...
Can I say something? I actually feel like that has trickled into me a little bit, because if I'm going to be totally transparent, I think that I have worked hard, but I also think that things have always come quite easily to me. And I don't want to say that and sound like a dink, but I mean, like in school, and I don't know, maybe it was my personality because I'm just such a delight, but I think I went through those things with just everybody liking me. my teachers liking me, people liking me. And so rather than, being an A++ student, I would get A++, well, not A++, but I would get good grades just based on who I was as a human, right?
That's exactly what I just said.
I know, but what I'm saying is I feel like it kind of, like, I have a bit of a lazy mentality at times. Not anymore because I'm a mom of 3 and I'm fucking tired and I work so hard. But in between that age of getting out of high school and, moving down here, I didn't really do a whole lot. Like, I went to university and I half-assed it really for the first 2 years because I was like, fuck it. Woo! I'd never been away from my parents. I just lived my best life. And honestly, like, my parents were helping pay for my education. So I just didn't give a shit. I'm sorry, mom and dad, but it's kind of true. Yeah. Like, I just knew it was there and I'm like, whatever. And that sounds so... I don't know. There's something about me that sounds shitty right now. And so I don't even want to, elaborate on that. But then the following, like the last 2 years of university, when I knew I wanted to be a teacher and I knew my grades really mattered, was when I put in the work. And boy, did I put in the work. And that's also when I was diagnosed with ADD, which I think really helped because then I was able to work with that. But anyways, and then, I left that and I had... maybe I'm a bit hard on myself because I did do things. But I feel like I've spent some time just being not lazy, because lazy is seen as a bad word, but I don't think there's anything wrong with being lazy sometimes. Like, sometimes you just need to be a little lazy.
You're looking at the wrong guy.
I know.
Fuck, I hate laziness. It drives me crazy.
But you are
not a lazy person.
No, but
there's not an.
But there's a time and place for everything. There's a time to be lazy.
Do you want me to word this for you?
Sure.
Because I can probably articulate this.
This is not my episode today, folks.
You look like it is.
I know. I look like I know what I'm talking about.
You do know what you're talking about. It's just sometimes I think you're a little hard on yourself.
Oh.
So I probably could have said a couple extra words when I was explaining that. I don't think it's just hard work that carries someone. It's your attitude and who you are as a person. Like, you have a smile that lights up a room. You do. You have probably the most beautiful smile in the world. Like, when you smile, you lift a whole auditorium up. And I think that's an important... You need that kind of person in the workplace. You need someone that's like has a kind of carefree zest for life, that with a smile that lights up a room. Because if all you had were enforcers on the team, it wouldn't work. If all you had was captains on the team, it wouldn't work. Every person is a component to a team, right? And you maybe back in the day, and I don't know who's at fault for this, but I honestly feel like kids that have a rougher upbringing, that don't have everything handed to them, which is going to probably suck for our kids because right now everything's handed to them. But those kids that have to work their ass off for anything in life. Like, when I was in hockey, I picked blueberries for 2 months to save money up to buy goalie pads, my own goalie pads. Like, I worked for them. And I feel like kids that don't get things handed to them have probably a bit more work ethic, like, in their DNA, because they know they have to grind for everything they get in this world.
Of course.
So you may not have had that growing up, because I want to say that maybe there was a little bit, your family was, and Peter and your mother hustled their asses off.
Well, it's very similar to what we do.
But they came into money, your dad and your mom did very well at a young age. And then what ends up happening with that is, like, you tend to kind of pass that down to your children. Yeah. And I think that you and I right now, we're in a good spot financially, and what's happening with our children, it just seems like we get them everything they want. And I just, oh my God, at some point we got to turn the tap off here and make them work. And, like, you notice
that, but I don't, because that's very similar to how, now mind you, like, I'm guilty of just being like, okay, yeah, let's go do this. My mom never did that. Are you kidding me? I remember, like, if I wanted a McDonald's Happy Meal, it was happening once a year, and she would drive through there. I'm like, is she okay? Like, I couldn't believe it. And I'd get a milk, and, like, maybe I would get it. You know what I mean? Like, that just was like, yes, in so many ways, yes, but in other ways, I don't know what happened to me in terms of being a parent. This is way off track, but I think I just, like, rebelled almost a little bit from my upbringing. Like, my mom, like, to the point where if your elbows were on the table, like, you're in trouble, or if, like, just like that. Yeah. And then I just kind of took that and, like, milk for dinner, only milk or water. And I was just like, and I just went the total opposite. The kids are on the tables. Like, okay, this sounds like it's a crazy house. But, I decided like that's not it for me because that's not the type of person I am. So I learned as I became a parent. But anyways, I digress. What were we talking about?
I don't even know where we were going. We're supposed to be back over on my story and how the hell I caught up to you.
Yes.
So I was at Chester and Company, put like 6 or 7 years in.
Yeah.
And basically every night that I worked there, I worked on a side hustle.
Yes.
Oh my God, is this worth getting into right now? I'm trying to think. This is like a 1 hour deviation, but
what?
No, so like
just cool as
so I made some really good connections in the city working with musicians. So I was known as the guy that if you needed album art done and you were anywhere in Eastern Canada, you called me up. I made every person's album cover ever in Nova Scotia. It was crazy. Like I was doing, I want to say like 200, 300 album covers, something like that. I was banging these things out in the evening as cash jobs. And just like that was how I got extra monies because, I was never really making a large salary at my jobs. And I had kind of almost capped out until I got a higher position, which I ended up getting eventually. But that was the evening and weekend hustle of knowing there was more for me out there. I really wanted to work in the music industry. Like I had this goal that I was going to design an album cover for Jay and for Kanye and stuff. I was putting that out there and I was just grinding, painting every night, making album covers. And so anyway, I got a call from Classified one night out of nowhere, and Classified calls me up and he goes, I've got an album coming out. I need to get an album cover made, and I've heard you're that dude. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like Classified was he was showing me the track list, and Raekwon was on there. There was huge artists, like guys from Wu-Tang, Raekwon. There was oh my God, I'm forgetting names right now. Anyway, he had this beefed up track list. There was people on here that I was super excited to potentially be a part of this. And I'm like, yeah, man, let's do this. And he goes, okay, there's a caveat here though. I need the album cover by tomorrow. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is the biggest opportunity of my life. And
by tomorrow?
Yeah, he had to get it into the record label by the
next. Were we together at this point?
No.
Okay.
This was
with okay.
Bleep.
Yeah. Beep, beep.
Never say her name. So anyway, I had 24 hours to do this thing, and it was almost like a gift and a curse because on one hand I was like, oh my God, I only have 24 hours to do this, but it really made me not overthink it.
Yeah.
So the rampant, the Nova Scotia rampant. This is the lion that's on our flag here for Nova Scotia. I took the lion's head and did that abstract painting of it because it was a self-titled album. He was on like album 8 or something, and this was called Classified. It was his self-titled album. I was like, this is an album about him.
Right.
I'll put the Nova Scotia lion head on there. This will be so dope. And so anyway, submitted it. It got all approved immediately. Everyone was losing their minds. Class was like, dude, you're a genius. This was crazy. So I'm going to try and talk quicker. So we submitted that album artwork to a giant award show in Nova Scotia called the ICE Awards. I submitted the album artwork to it, and this is an award show that's like predominantly like big tourism awards, big packaging awards, big branding jobs for like Bell Alliant and stuff. It was like an album cover, a hip hop album cover being submitted in this show made absolutely no sense. And I was sitting out in the stage that night, or out in the stands that night, and there was like thousands of people there. And then all of a sudden, I heard Matthew. It would have been the damn name thing keeps coming up. It would have been. They would have said, Matthew Mackay, you win gold for the Classified album art packaging. I won a gold ice bucket that night for this hip hop album cover.
Is that the highest you can get?
Yeah,
gold.
Yeah. And so I got to walk up on stage, and I remember I had like a paisley hat on, and I had like these suspenders and a black shirt and everything, and like my tattoos were all out and stuff. And I feel like I stood out like a sore thumb at that event, and this was huge for me because I was on a stage getting awarded something that would give me the credentials that I needed to kind of like make my name hold a little bit more weight in the city. And that was crazy because it validated everything that I had done the last 6 or 7 years. Yeah. So I don't even think 24 hours passed after that show when my phone was ringing with another agency in the city saying, we saw you at the award show last night. Your whole vibe is everything that we want at our shop. And
Was that Famous Folks?
Yeah. And so I sat down for lunch with Ryan and Kev and Bruce, and we shot the shit. And then we got the money locked in, and then I signed the dotted line, like jumped ship to another agency. And that was really hard because, as I said there 20 minutes ago, Chester...
I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sense of the timeline because you and I were together when you went to Famous Folks.
Yeah, I'm skipping the fact that we were together. It's not our love story.
I know, but you said when you
there.
got... Okay.
I'm almost there, though. I'm almost where we were because when we got the condo and got pregnant with Kaya,
yeah.
I was working at Famous Folks. So we can almost go back to you here on. We're almost back into Sheridan's little stroller story. So it was hard with Chester because I had to go into my boss. That was like a father to me. And you know what he said to me? I'll never forget it. We sat down at Starbucks together, and this man looked me in my eyes and said, "I'm proud of you. Spread," I'm going to cry. "Spread your wings and fly." That's what this man said to me. Like a guy that I had just turned my back on is what it felt like. But he saw that someone that he had nurtured his whole life. And like my whole career, I shouldn't say my whole life, but my whole career, Chester was my apprentice. And then here he was watching me go on to something else. And then that was it. And then Sheridan stroller.
Yeah, like wiping away the tears. So back to my couple formulas.
He told me, and I got a free cheeseburger.
Yeah.
No, and
baby bottles.
No. And anyway, so that was when I went over to Famous Folks, and those guys were probably the best thing that ever happened to me because they were like me, just a little bit older and a little bit more like successful in bunny ear quotations right now.
Right.
Like they had money, they were doing cool shit, they were working with cool companies and stuff, and then all of a sudden I kind of became sort of like the face of the design team.
Yeah.
And that for me was just such an amazing thing. So I did 2 or 3 years there, felt like I kind of plateaued, locked in some shit in the background. I was kind of signing some contracts and stuff in the background, and that's when I jumped ship and went out and started my own company with my good friend Tim. And so I think it's like present day when I met you, or not met you, but when you and I...
Those were very big leaps of faith, though, that you took going from Chester over to Famous Folks. And I remember when you weren't sure because you're a very loyal person and you weren't sure it was the right thing to do.
It was hard.
And then even leaping on from Famous Folks to going out on your own, you're like, I don't know if this is it.
Should talk about that for a sec.
Well, to which I said, what do you have to lose? Like, you're a great designer, so you go out and it doesn't work. Oh, well. Yeah. Right? Like, it's going to be all right. We'll figure it out. And you did.
Oh, and it was scary, too. So you have to think I had a pretty good salary where I was and a good job. Things were comfortable at Famous Folks, and I was doing well there. And I had built a great team around me. Like, Jesse was there. We were crushing it. And
you had a lot of fun there.
You had Theodore in your stomach. So here I was in a house with a big mortgage payment, a kid, a new kid on the way, and
me that was really not making very much money.
Yeah, and then here I was, and your father would have probably been a big reason that I took that leap too, because I remember Peter sitting here saying, "Matthew, I watch you work, I watch what you do. You're incredible at what you do. You need to do this for yourself and chase your dreams."
Yeah.
And when I took that leap, man, there was some sleepless nights for sure, because when Tim and I started Dose, the company that we own now, there was the first while we couldn't even pay ourselves. Like, we didn't have any money at all. Like, we started with $0 in the bank. Like, there was a point in time where that bank account said $0.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks had passed, 4 weeks had passed. It's like, Tim, bro, like, do you want to split that $1,000? Like, we literally had nothing really.
Right.
And that was a crazy leap to do that. But at the end of the day, I don't want to put this on everybody, but I think that with great risk comes great reward. And if you don't take those risks, then you'll never reap the benefits. And you'll never truly embody the person you are meant to be if you don't chase your dreams. You'll be laying there when you're 80 years old going like, I wish I did that. I should have did that. You know, there's another quote about that. What is it? The only regrets you'll ever have are the risks you didn't take, or something like that.
You're just inspiring me to go off and do something else. I'm listening to your speech. I'm like, okay, what other career can I take on?
No, but you know what I mean? You're never going to sit there at the end of the road and regret something awesome that you did.
It's true.
You'll forever just wonder if you should have did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And when I think sometimes people almost overlook it. Like when you drive down the road, when you drive down Quinpool, when you drive down Spring Garden and you see hundreds and hundreds of businesses around you, every single one of those, every laundromat, every restaurant, every ice cream stand, that was someone with a dream that was like, I'm going to go out here and make no money for a little bit, but I'm going to chase my dream. I always wanted to scoop ice cream and provide cold treats to Spring Garden or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything that you've ever bought. Monster Energy was some dude with nothing that started a drink company. Friggin' Steve Jobs with Apple. Absolutely nothing. $3 trillion company now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think taking those risks and stuff, it brings you... It's at the end of your road and at the end of my story and my journey in this world, I think I can truly say that I've lived life without regrets and have chased like damn near every dream that I ever had. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so what the hell are we talking about? So then you started crushing it. You started murdering. you started murdering. So then at the same time, you started absolutely killing it. And if you try and downplay anything that you've done in this world, I'm gonna friggin' come behind you and build you up because I think you've done incredible for yourself, Sheridan.
Thanks,
don't downplay it.
I don't. I definitely don't.
You're all intimidated by my story?
I know. I'm like,
Sheridan.
I don't.
Your story's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
People are here for your story, not mine.
No, but your story was really good. I feel like I don't know how to go off of that. But I guess, at the same time, like you said, that you were kind of off doing your own thing. I also started flourishing in the Instagram space. And I was making some money, doing a couple little jobs. It's hard for me to even remember at this point, but at that point, I didn't have a manager. I was just doing it on my own. And then somebody reached out to me, and I thought it was a spam email because it was just confusing and I didn't understand. And I think at that point, I maybe had 20,000 followers, maybe even less. And, Instagram was really on the rise at this point, and I was seeing all sorts of people with, like, millions of followers and stuff like that. So when I got that email, I'm like, this has got to be not legit. Like, why would somebody want to manage me, right?
Yeah.
Little old Sheridan.
Who messaged you? Is it Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan did, yeah.
Yeah, and so she messaged me, and I just took a leap of faith, I guess, of my own, and I thought it's not as exciting as yours.
It is exciting.
But it was exciting. It was very exciting.
Well, you signed on to a management firm that was going to take almost 20% of what you made.
That's right.
And I was sitting there on the other side of the room going like, you kidding me? Like everything that you do, this person comes in, takes 20% of it?
Right.
You make $100, you actually only get 80, and then the tax man takes a bunch too.
But
like,
at that
crazy.
point, there was no tax man because you have to make above $30,000 to have...
Oh, you still get taxed a little, but sure.
But not really. Like, it didn't really matter. I didn't have a tax number or anything like that. And I was excited, and it was really cool. It was a little bit scary for me because a lot of times something that I really appreciated about what I did is that I was able to have those conversations with clients and agencies when they would reach out. And like something, if we backtrack on what you just said a couple minutes ago, was like my personality and the way that I speak to people. And, most people are signing their emails and saying, hello, like kind regards, like, and I'm writing them like, lots of love, Sheridan, XOXOXO. Like, that's just who I am, right?
Eggplant emojis.
So I'm... No. So I knew that I was taking that away because basically what a manager will do, although at the beginning I kind of stayed on with the email threads, but you really just kind of put your whole faith, if that's the direction you choose to go into with your manager, to them. So an email comes in and you just forward it right along, and you lose all of that communication with the agencies and with the clients, which can be kind of sucky because that's what I built myself on, as having these relationships.
Being relatable.
Right. And also with other companies. And I remember like there was a couple people that would reach out to me that I was already working with, that I had worked with in the past, and they'd reach out and I'd say, I have a manager now. And I kind of felt like, do you still like me?
Yeah.
Here's the email. And right. Cause I wasn't sure. And it's like, oh, great. And at that time, I think people were very much unaware of like the management and how that was starting. So people be like, oh, great. Now she has a fucking manager. Here we go. Like I have to deal with that, but on the flip side, agencies and managers and people that do that understand how much money you should actually be making in this industry, right? And I don't know if it's every person in the world, but I'm going to say a lot of people like undersell themselves, and it's really difficult when
most people in the world actually undersell themselves.
Right. Like when I would get emails come in, And no matter what, like even to this day, Ryan sent me a message asking me if I wanted to work with somebody. And he said, what's your media kit? Like, and this is my friend, right? So he's like, do you have a media kit? And I was like, we'll make it work. And he's like, you're so annoying. Because I'm still to this day like that. Thank goodness I have a manager, because otherwise I'd be like, I'll do it for free.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. People have this weird thing where they don't want to talk about money.
I know.
Money's what we're all here for.
Right.
I mean, for the most part. I mean, you want to have your personal satisfaction, obviously, and that fulfillment.
Right.
But you got to feed the kids.
Yeah, no, I know. I agree. So anyway, so then, so that went over there, and I remember when I started making more money, and I was like, holy moly, what have I been missing, right? Like, this is really what I'm getting paid to do these types of things. It was at least doubled by what I had been charging for people. So let's just say, for example, because I know people love to know numbers. Let's say, for example, at the beginning of it, maybe somebody would have sent me I can think of a company that sent me like some swaddle blankets or something to show off when Theo was born. Because it really has only transpired, like really, since Theo came around. That's when I kind of started doing like the bigger campaigns. And, you know, I have the back and forth with them. You build that personal connection, and then they're like, well, my budget's $300. I'm like, I'll do it. No problem. Right. So at that point, I'm doing stories, posts for $300. And then I bring it over to a manager, and it's like, what? Like, what? So that's times by whatever. And I just couldn't believe once I started.
Well, how much is it times? It's times like 10.
Well, at this point now, it's vastly different, because even when I started, like, I really do feel like Instagram, there's this quote that Caitlin posted on her, on our agency's page that she has, but it basically explains how insane the market is now on Instagram, and how it's times by like 1 billion what it was 7 years ago. Like, now this is one of the main, if not the main way to try and advertise products for people, right? Yeah. Like commercials and billboards and all that stuff, it's still happening, but like people are taking a huge chunk of their marketing money and putting it towards social media.
The thing about social media that's beautiful from the client perspective is that you get the data.
Like the insights and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if I run a billboard in downtown Halifax right now, sure, the Pattison Group, what they'll say is this billboard's going to get 30,000 impressions per day because that's how many cars drive by. But people are driving their cars, they're probably not paying attention. How many actually looked up there? How many people actually absorbed it? They can't read more than 7 words and retain it while driving.
Yeah.
So. But with Instagram, you can send over your client the analytics, and you can see there's that many people that were actually engaged, this many people actually saved it, double tapped it, went through, made a purchase. So from the client side, it's beautiful because they have actual hard data to validate what the frig they're doing
for sure
their dollars.
I think that's a really great point. I also think that it's important for companies to understand, which I think most do at this point, that you're not necessarily going to get, like, if I post something for, let me just think of an example here. If I post something for, let's go back to McDonald's, and it's coffee frappes, and it's all month long, and it's $1 coffee frappes or whatever. It's not to say that every single person is going to drive through the drive-through that night and they're getting a coffee frappe, right? Or if I have a piece of clothing that I show off that I love, that's not to say that they're going to jump on their website right away and buy 100 pieces of clothing and they're going to immediately get their return on investment. But good, like, companies that understand it know that somebody might go, oh shit, yeah, what was that clothing store that Sheridan had? I really liked that, and go back to it, right? You're not immediately, or like Miss Vicky's, for example.
Passive marketing.
Miss Vicky's, I'm showing off their chips and stuff, and then they're at Costco. They're like, oh right, Sheridan said those ketchup, this sweet and spicy ketchup chips or whatever are so good. Let's pick up a bag.
Yeah.
So I think the good companies realize it's not necessarily a save or a share. They just know putting it out there, people are just going to remember.
It's general brand awareness.
Exactly.
And any good company that has any good marketing team behind it, or like someone that knows what's going on, will know that it's a game of chess. This isn't checkers. Like, if you double your ad spend this year, you probably won't even actually start seeing that escalate in sales for like 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. You have to start building that kind of like passive brand awareness that people get.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of different ways that you can have that awareness. I think I also, it's funny though, like if I just were to dabble in the idea of Instagram, like giveaways, for example, like how, when I put on my 12 days of giveaways at Christmas, people put their faith in me and their trust in me and they do really well. And that builds a company up as well. And they understand that, if they're going to give a credit for, I don't know, $500 for their clothing store, that they're going to gain 3,000 followers, and that those followers are going to go and they're going to purchase something. So I think you have to just like put your faith in whoever it is that you want to work with as well, which is a whole other thing. How do you make sure that that person is a good person to put their stuff online?
I think we should wrap this up soon. I mean, we've been going for a little over an hour, but
what?
Yeah. But
I said like 3 words.
That's not no. But
I don't really feel like I talked about Instagram at all, really. If I'm being honest, which is fine. It was Matt's success story.
Oh yeah. No. But I mean, for the people watching, I think there's an overarching message here. I mean, it's not like everyone watching right now is like going to run away and become an Instagram person or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I think it's really like about your story and who you are as a person, and how you took what was in your heart and manifested into a career for yourself.
Well, I think too, like, and what I've always said, because at the beginning when Instagram was growing, there was a lot of people, even people that I know personally, that were not, hating is not the right word, but hating a little bit, right? And my response was always, well, we all have a phone.
Yeah.
We literally all, this is one thing, it's such a weird thing, Instagram, because you go off and you're a creative designer, somebody goes off and they're a veterinarian, somebody else is a nurse, like there's like specific things that nobody else can do, right? But this is something that everybody has access to, like everybody has an Instagram account. So it's just a weird thing because everybody's kind of judging you on it because they have it too.
Yeah.
You know what? Does that make sense? So
the barrier for entry's gotten a lot. Yeah, it's a lot easier to. It's the same thing with cameras. Everyone thinks they're a photographer now because they have a 16 megapixel.
But I also mean like people aren't coming in and watching you design every day, right? You're just putting your stuff out and you're sending it to your clients, or they might not even know who it is that did it. Like somebody might just see a billboard and just see the billboard, and they're not going to know that Dose Media did that billboard. They're not coming in and watching you work every day.
Yeah.
I'm not going and watching a lawyer sit at their job and do their thing, but people are watching me every day on their Instagram account because that's what I do, right? Yeah. So it's just a weird thing. But as I say, like my response was always, well, we all have phones. We all have access to Instagram. Like some people just take straight iPhone shots always, and that's what they do they don't have a camera. They make it work. So, sometimes I get defensive, not really anymore. I feel like when it started, I would get defensive at times because, I worked really hard to build my following and to build, and, people still ask me now to this day, like, well, how did you start? Because they want to start, right? How does it start? How does this happen? I actually remember one time this girl that I know, she was just like, well, I wish I could stay home and get things for free and do this too. How do I do it? And then I look over at their profile and I'm like, well, and then of course I'm always kind. I'm like, yeah, definitely. Like this is how you could do it. But there's so much behind the scenes. There's so much with my management, with my emails, with my briefing calls, with my editing of photos, with Lightroom,
with actually
with
being
apps,
a photographer.
Right, like it's not like I'm just
being a likable person, being relatable to people. Like
like there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. Where I think as people just think you show up and you're just whatever and you move along. But like I said, my advice is always, well, like you try and let me know how it goes for you. And I don't mean that in an unkind way. I'm just saying like kind of maybe try to have some respect for the people in their field. And again, just back to the thing, if you don't want to follow somebody, just don't follow somebody. But anyway. Instagram my job is an interesting thing, that's for sure. Yeah.
Well, there was like a 10-minute rant on episode 6 that I went on that I don't need to recycle in this right now. You can just go back and watch it. But I feel like that rant probably would have been better suited in this episode right now. Yeah. But in a nutshell, I mean this type of stuff has always existed. People have been being sold products forever by, I would probably say, mainly unrelatable people. Yeah. Like you said in the last episode, I mean, Morgan Freeman was selling you a Kia on TV, and you were okay with that, watching Super Bowl ads.
My
and
Kia
shit.
Carnival the other day, which is actually like a very family-friendly, awesome car. I'm showing it off. I'm showing you the interior. I'm explaining to you what I like about it, what I don't. And I think at this point in my career, I'm lucky enough to pick and choose what it is, who it is that I want to work with, which is really great. I'm not going to deny the fact that when I first started, you know, I was absolutely just taking everything that it was brought my way.
That's what you have to do, though.
Well, I wanted to get my name out there more. I wanted to, especially with agencies, right? So a lot of agencies, what will happen is, like, for example, there's an agency in Toronto, and let's say they have big clients like Walmart, Amazon, so-and-so and so-and-so. They have like a list of clients, right? So you start working for one of them and you do a great job on a campaign, they're going to remember you. They're going to say, okay, yeah, Sheridan did a good job. Let's reach out to her for this job as well, right?
Yeah.
So when the things were coming in, I was like, this is great. I'm just going to kind of go with it. And there's only one job that I turned down, and that was for Botox. Because I mean, I'm not opposed to Botox. In fact, I'm quite into it, and I'm sure it will happen.
I think about it every day.
But at the time, I wasn't, because this was like 4 years ago. It wasn't even on my mind, and I didn't want the first experience I had with it to be something paid and like it was promoted. You know, I wanted to do it on my own, see if I wanted to do it or not. I felt like rushed into something. That was really the first thing that I turned down, and I remember turning it down and being like, well, that was kind of liberating, like being able to say no. Of course, I had you on the other end, and you know, when I first started, you were very much like say yes.
No,
to
I told
everything.
you not to do the Botox.
I know, but otherwise, say yes, Sheridan, say yes. And like, there's been many times where I feel like I'm just like, I can't do it all. Like, I just can't.
Well, to me, it's a balancing act, right? Because I live and die by this. You need to strike while the iron's hot.
I know.
And I really, really, truly feel like that. Like, will Instagram be around in 10 years? Maybe.
Will it be like Facebook when no one goes on it?
Yeah, exactly. We're heading into a massive global recession right now.
Yeah.
How much ad revenue are these people going to be spending now? You know what I mean? Like, is someone going to spend $20,000 getting you to advertise something for them? Or is that going to fizzle up and they'll pay $800 because that's all the budget has now?
Yeah.
So, like, while you can sit there and make this cake, I mean, get the damn cake.
But then also on the flip side, and as I explained to you so many times, it's so important. And I've said this too, I think, before on here, that like you also need to not just be a walking advertisement.
Yes.
Because nobody's going to like that. So even Caitlin, who again is so incredible, like perhaps in the past because agencies sometimes can be like, okay, now this needs to go up today. And it's like, chill. I just posted 7 ads in a row. Like, let me post something else, please, so my followers still remember that I am Sheridan, not just a walking ad. And Caitlin's always been so great at me. Like, I show her my little grid because I have this app that I can put my pictures in ahead of time, and I'll screenshot it, and I'm like, this is what this is looking like for me. Can you please go back to the client and make it work? And she does, which is so great. Like, Instagram influencers, some of them have managers, some of them don't. Some of them try it and then they don't like it because they miss having the control over everything. I thrived in it.
Yeah.
Truly, because I just couldn't do it all. I just can't. So I just send an email off. She's in charge of everything for me. Like, if anybody wants to know a bit of the behind the scenes, I know we've been talking for a while, but that's okay, right? You say sometimes.
I just have to pee so bad. Can we have a pee break and come back?
Well, you go pee and I'll just keep talking. So,
all right.
I was going to say that. So, oh crap. I forgot what I was going to say. But for some people, oh my God, Matt's going outside here. I thought he was going to go into the bathroom. He goes outside. So I was going to say that some Instagram influencers have management, some don't. Yeah, I was saying for me, I thrive in it. And I think some people miss the control. They'll start with a management company and then they decide, that isn't it for me. But for me, it works really well. And yeah, what else is there that I can say about Instagram since Matt's gone and it's really weird looking at nothing over there? Like, where's my train of thought? Dun, dun, dun. You know, people that do podcasts by themselves, I don't know how they do it. I feel very lonely. Okay, back to Instagram. So money. Everybody always wants to talk about finances, right? Oftentimes when I get these questions, when I ask me anything about work, people always want to know how much money I make. And it's funny because you might think that the people that have the most amount of followers are making the most money, but I don't think that is the case at all. In the Nova Scotia influencer community, in the Nova Scotia influencer community,
how was it being alone and talking?
Shh, don't distract me.
Oh, peen hands.
Ew. We would chat and communicate and, you know, have an open line of sometimes how much money a company is giving you or whatever if you're working on the same campaign. And so if you're wondering, if you want to get caught up, I was just explaining how people might assume that people with the most amount of followers are making the most amount of money, but that's just simply not the case at all. That's what I was going on about. And then I was also going to say that there's other ways of making money on Instagram. So even if you are not, quote unquote, an influencer and you're getting paid by big companies to advertise, there's other ways, like, for example, like to know it. So for people, when I post links to shop stuff, not always, sometimes they don't have it, but if you are interested, if you're listening to this and you are kind of interested in making maybe some money that has nothing to do with campaigns, you can download something called Like to Know It. And basically, that's when people can shop your links and you can make commission off of that. So my biggest one, when I was like, holy Nikes, I can make some money off of this, were those Airy bras. By the way, I love, because everywhere I go, I see people and they're like, I'm wearing your bra. I'm like, yes. It's a great bra. And so basically you would get the link for whatever it is that you want to advertise for, and then you post it and your followers can click on that link and you will make a commission off of it. So for every bra I sold, let's say I made like $1.50 or something like that. So that's also just a great way to make money if nothing else is coming from Instagram at all. And then there's also a lot of apps, websites that you can get involved in, and I'll just name a couple of them again if you're interested. One of them is #paid, and that is basically a platform where you can put your profile information and how much money you want to make per post, per story, stuff like that. And companies will be on that website and they will reach out to you if they're interested in you working on a campaign with them, to which you fill out a thing and then you either, get approved for it or you don't. So that's something cool too, just to be in that space. Another one I think is called IZEA, IZEA. Another thing, I think there's actually a lot more. I have not been on those in forever because I just simply don't need to be at this point. But I know there's a lot of websites.
Do people ask you about this?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah. Are you thinking that is boring?
Oh my God. What are you talking about? IZEA and
Yeah, see, this is it. There's so many things that people don't know about. But all I'm saying is that there are places that you can try and get yourself out there if you want to. Because, people ask me all the time, where do I start? And I guess my answer is start by, putting your profile information out on there and see where it goes. Otherwise, just be you.
Being authentic. Is what it is. Because like, I find sometimes people in your world are so annoying. God, they're annoying. It's like, I don't know. They're just like,
some people probably think I'm so annoying.
Sure, they do. I'm sure they do.
But what do they say?
You are so annoying sometimes. But you know what? At least you're honest. Like, if you're sure, you look like a cornball sometimes with your Nivea stuff and everything, but it's like you actually use it. You're actually an authentic person.
Right. I love
when you're
Nivea.
doing the McDonald's thing, this isn't just some stupid ad.
Right.
You actually love McDonald's.
Right.
Like, it's everything that you've ever done. Yeah. And I find sometimes, I'm not naming names, but sometimes I'm looking at this, I'm like, get out of here,
right.
you cornball. Like, I don't know. I just find that
you're a big hater. That's a big hater.
No, I'm not a big hater. People that aren't authentic drive me crazy. And I can, like, for the most part, I've got a pretty good, like, authenticity radar. I can tell when people are just being cornballs. And like I follow a ton of influencers. Like, I follow people on Seems the Dad and a few of my accounts that are big influencers stuff in it. And I follow them because you can see, like, it's a real person. And they're hot. Sheridan goes on my Explore page.
This is a real person, and I like
She's
her.
Authentic.
Yeah.
A dime.
Yeah. Okay, wrap
it up, baby. What's this whole episode? The whole purpose of this was about following your dreams, I think. Because everyone that's watching this isn't going to go, I want to be a designer and an Instagram person. It's like they want to chase their own dreams in this world. But like, if I was to say it, chase those damn things. Like, you only have one shot at living this life. Yeah. And then it's over. Yeah. And your run's done. Yeah. So whatever you feel in your heart, like, is your favorite thing to do in this whole entire world, do more of that and do more of it and more of it. And every night and every weekend, do more of that and start trying to figure out how you can monetize that thing. Boom.
And no, that's great. Again, like, for me, it's just different talking about Instagram. It's just a fully different. I just think
it's not.
Okay,
it's the exact same thing. I don't understand why you're not seeing this. If I was let me just come up with something right now. If I wanted to recycle these cans and be the best can recycler in the entire world, but I also really like Instagram. Right. No, you know what? Here's a good one. Okay. So the other day, I spent half an hour in a parking lot scrolling through a guy's page who cuts down trees for a living. Right. He literally, it was so cool. He scales up gigantic trees, and he's hired by like privately hired by homeowners to come in and get rid of massive trees without breaking their homes and cars.
Yeah.
And he has a whole Instagram account that's just him cutting trees, how he cuts them, what he does. He's got like rap music playing while he's doing it, and everyone's
Right.
cheering him on when the trees
Right.
come down. And he found a way to do what he loves to do and use Instagram.
Yeah, I guess you're right if you put it that way.
You love taking photos, you love children, you love family, you love teaching people, everything that you love in the world, in this life,
Yeah.
you channel through your Instagram account. You're authentic to who you are.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
So now that I really think about it, it's like Instagram's not my thing.
No, it's not.
I get it now, I think, hon.
I told you an hour ago, it's a vessel for you to express yourself. That's it.
Okay. Content creator. End quote.
like
Woo! Okay, now let's wrap it up, have some lunch, and come talk about all of our scandalous
because we're doing
facts.
2 episodes today because we're going to Ottawa.
So I know that Matt was very great in this episode, which I'm so happy for because I've heard his story many times and it's a really good one. But the next episode, I'm going to talk straight shit. No, I'm just
in the next episode, pop my titty.
I'm
out.
dropping bombs. No, I mean of the past, not my tits. Okay, see you in a
Might
bit.
flash a nip.
Yeah. Okay,
All right,
bye.
so yeah. All right, thanks. Like and subscribe. We love everybody. Mwah. Hit that subscribe button. It actually means a lot. All right? You good?
Oh yeah, I'm great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Hold-
pee my pants.
Over there having these massive revelations
Yeah.
about who and what you are as a human.
Pretty much.
I love you, babe.
It's the Two Gems Podcast.